All right, awesome. Yeah, excited to have you here too, Dr. Ben. Have Dr. Ben on the show today. He is an expert when it comes to autoimmune disorder, but recently, right now, he is focusing on our 5G issue that we have going on here in the state of Arizona. And in a couple hours, I'll be heading out to the square in Prescott for a 5G rally. Dr. Ben, how are you this morning?
I'm doing excellent, Matthew. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. You know, I'm ready to move forward into what you have to talk about 5G, but I must say that I was just downstairs at the hotel lobby that I was in, and I came across a 90-year-old woman, and she is on her way to go hiking and to mountain bike today. 5 years ago, when she was 85, she got lost in the Swiss Alps. She was hiking, and people had to rescue her. However, her and her family told me that she was the leader of the pack. She led them down off the mountain and found help and things like that. And I asked her what she's done for her health and vitality. I mean, she was walking around smart as a whip, 90 years old, going hiking today and mountain biking. And she literally said, Dr. Ben, I have never taken one single vaccine in my whole entire life. I eat healthy, and I believe in God, and I love. And that's literally what she said. So I thought it was interesting right before our interview, talking about health and 5G and all that, and what we're being plagued with in our country and in the world at large. I came across this 90-year-old lady, never vaccinated, doesn't take medications, no blood pressure issues, eats healthy, mountain bikes. And I just found it really, really incredible. So Dr. Ben, welcome to the show. Glad to have a health expert on the show today. Dr. Ben, so let's dive right into it. Let's talk about 5G, where you're at, what you're doing for 5G to get the word out there.
Sure. So just to give people a sense of what it is, 5G is the fifth generation of wireless technology. And so if you think about it, there's been a 1G and a 2G and a 3G and a 4G. G just means generation. So if we dial it back, 1G was like the Zach Morris phone, remember, like those big brick cell phones?
Yeah.
And then second generation, they started adding some data. You could send data wirelessly. And then third generation was they allowed text messaging. That was like early 2000s. Once upon a time, guys like you and I can remember when people didn't text, right? And then when the iPhone came out in 2007, and it could do all this crazy stuff like watch YouTube videos on your phone and stream and send music and all this, they kind of had to upgrade the infrastructure to be able to support all the data, because the iPhone was so data hungry that they came out with 4G, which allowed more data. And then so 5G is the next generation, which allows even more data. So now, you know, instead of taking 10 minutes to download a movie to your phone, you can download it instantly. So what that means is that they've got to shoot a lot more radiation through the air to be able to send that much data. And now it's to the point where the amount of radiation they're shooting to do that is like really unsafe as far as human health goes. And so Arizona, for whatever reason, has become like the test pilot state and the kind of ground zero for the implementation of this technology. And so we're basically the guinea pigs. And based on, you know, the science of the amount of radiation and the type of radiation that 5G uses, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for human health. And it's also not looking good for our privacy, our security, our freedom, and things like our property values, which we can go into all of that. So it's definitely a threat to us. And there are alternatives which we can talk about. There's ways to do everything 5G accomplishes in a way that's, you know, safe, doesn't harm anybody, it's cheaper, it's faster, which we can get into as well.
Yeah, I definitely, when it comes to being faster. So, you know, as you know, Dr. Ben, you know that I showed you my 5G phone, and I know that you know, from talking with you and other experts too, it's not the phones. It's definitely the towers that are going up. And I'll tell you what, I mean, on 5G, there's no difference at all that I've seen when it comes to speed or anything like that. So what's really going on here then? Because really, I mean, I've been in 5G all over Prescott, because obviously that's where they're putting all these towers up.
Yeah.
there's no difference. If anything, it's slower. So to me, there's something up with these towers and what they're really doing.
Well, the infrastructure is not fully built yet, thankfully. Like, we still have time to fight it. 5G towers are going up. And of course, there's one that's like being built in Prescott, like literally right next to a bunch of people's homes. That's what the rally today is all about. That's a good question. Like, obviously there's the safety concerns and all that, but like, will it even do what they say it's going to do? And we don't really know until it's fully deployed. And by then, it's kind of too late. So, as far as the technology promise of it doing what it's supposed to do, I don't know. But there's a lot of wireless companies making a lot of money, and that's what they really care about the most. Whether it'll, live up to the hype remains to be seen. People are saying that it won't. And that's just in terms of effectiveness, like with safety and privacy and all that off the table.
Right. Well, we definitely have a lot to cover when it comes to 5G, and you definitely brought up a lot of points to discuss. Let's talk about, what are the implications? What are the health effects when it comes to 5G and the radiation that is being put off?
Sure, great question. So the most important thing I can speak to on this, and what people need to grasp the most, is that 5G uses what's called microwave technology. Okay, so in the electromagnetic spectrum, which is radio waves, TV waves, gamma rays, X-rays, sound waves, visible light, ultraviolet, infrared, all that stuff. There's a part of it, that spectrum, called microwaves, and you probably heard of them because we use them to microwave our food, right? That they're a small wave, and the people in the wireless industry found that, okay, we can send data really well via these microwaves. And when they're in that industry, they're not really looking at the health effects or how it affects humans. And if we can back up my story a little bit, I actually used to work in the electronics industry. I worked for companies that developed a lot of wireless technologies that are kind of the stepping stone to 5G. But I left that industry in 2013. And so microwaves are harmful to human health. Okay, and that's the type of radiation that these towers put off, right? So that's anything from about 20 or 30 gigahertz all the way up to 90 gigahertz. Okay. And so how do we know that microwave radiation is unsafe? Well, it's actually one of the most studied phenomena as far as something that affects human health has been studied in science. We have about 20,000 peer-reviewed studies going back as far as 100 years ago or more, showing that microwaves and EMFs are unsafe. A lot of the studies were done by actually the military, because around World War II time, they found that they were experimenting with microwaves as a weapon, that they could actually shoot it at buildings and at people, and it could, they could blow things up with it, or they could just, disperse a crowd or give people a headache, and use it as sort of like an invisible, inaudible, undetectable bioweapon, essentially. So now that brings the question, okay, well, is this a conspiracy to use a bioweapon as a communications tool? Maybe, maybe not. It's one of those things that, like, for these technology companies, they don't really test the health effects. Like, they'll test the cell phone to make sure that it works, that it make a call, that it doesn't explode in your hand, but they're not looking at like the long-term effects of like the exposure, or the long-term effects of like living near a cell tower or anything like that. So health effects that do happen. Heart problems, okay? Because this gives off pulse radiation, and your heart is an electrical organ, right? It like actually has like the electrical impulses cause it to beat. So that it interferes with that. So people can have heart attacks, heart palpitations, they can develop heart tumors, brain tumors. The more insidious things it does is like sleep disturbance, anxiety disorders. It can cause DNA damage, which leads to these heart tumors, brain tumors, and there's like 9 types of cancer that it can cause. So this is stuff we know. It's in the scientific literature. It's not like we need more data to know whether it's safe or not. We already know it's definitely not safe.
Wow. as we move forward in 2021, obviously a lot of the towers are going to be going up. And you talked about financially being neighborhoods being financially affected as well, and putting them in neighborhoods. It seems like, why would they want to put them in neighborhoods? And can you talk about the financial implications that are going to come about with these towers, and what it means for communities and small towns like Prescott and Sedona? I mean, where I live in Sedona, I mean, the mayor is pushing for this 5G stuff like crazy. So, what does that mean for the communities in these small townships when it comes to financials, when it comes to sustainability, and our rights being taken away by defacing our land, essentially, by putting up these towers in beautiful spots? Like, I don't think a lot of people realize too, we don't want to look at these things either. Like, we just don't. It looks like we already live in a prison planet. Now we literally look like we live in a prison planet with all these towers going up. So from your viewpoint, what effects are we going to have in these neighborhoods when it comes to the community and all that, and comes to our financials?
Sure, great question. And so, one thing you asked at the beginning of the question is like, why are they putting them in neighborhoods? Why are they going up in neighborhoods? Because I mean, with your 4G tower, your typical 4G tower is 250 feet up in the sky, up in the air, and it's about 2 miles on average from your home. But now there's a big deal in Prescott because they're like literally building a tower like next to a bunch of people's houses, like 50 feet from their house. Okay, and so what they've said about what the industry says about 5G is with these microwaves, they can shoot a lot of data, but they can't shoot it very far. So they have to build a bunch of little towers, what they call small cell towers, every 300 feet. Okay, including 50 feet from your home. Okay, and it's not 250 feet in the air, it's 50 feet in the air, or 30 feet in the air. And so it's zapping that microwave radiation right into your window, okay? So proximity is a huge deal. And so to be able to have this wireless network where they can shoot tons of data and you can download Netflix in your car and all this, they need towers everywhere to be able to support that kind of information grid. But as you mentioned, there's downsides to it going, everywhere. And aesthetics are like the last concern of mine, honestly, compared to what it does to health, which we talked about. But you also mentioned in neighborhoods, on average, when a cell tower goes up in a neighborhood, and this is 4G NEG, cell tower NEG, property values decline 20%, okay, on average. So they can decline even more than that. Another thing they're doing is, these cell towers are big money. So it's like, why does this developer in Prescott want to put it there? Well, it's because Verizon's going to pay him a lot of money to have it there, like tens of thousands of dollars a month sometimes. And so this is money that like a lot of people are willing to take it, like these towers are going up in schools, like on football fields at schools, because the Verizon or whoever will pay the school, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month to have the tower. And when it's Arizona and we've got like the 48th worst funded education, like these schools they're hurting for cash, they'll take it, but what's going to happen basically financially to neighborhoods, property values are going to go down. And then when people start getting sick and start having health effects, they're going to sue. Okay. And the telecom companies have set it up in such a way that they don't own the towers. They rent the towers from these little shell companies that are just like little mom and pop guys that build the tower. They own it and they just rent it from them. So that shell companies, making some money doing the tower. But when these multi-million-dollar lawsuits come in, well, Verizon and T-Mobile and Sprint can just go, oh, it wasn't us. Can't sue us. Sorry. And so the shell company who put in the little mom and pop company gets sued, but they have no assets. They go under right away. And then who's left holding the bag? The city. So the city of Sedona, the city of Prescott, the city of Phoenix, all these municipalities are going to be having huge financial burdens when these lawsuits come in, because telecom companies have figured out a way to skedaddle and scoot out of it, and someone else is going to be left holding the bag. So the financial impacts are super big, and we should definitely talk about the freedom and privacy aspects too. But you have any questions on that? Does that explain it?
No, that explains it. I just want to tie everything in. It's like what we've been seeing throughout this whole entire pandemic is big corporations maximizing their benefits and their profits from all this stuff that we're rolling out, whether it's Moderna, whether it's the vaccine rollout, 5G rollout, and now hearing this about 5G. It seems like, so pretty much everybody listening out there, if you have a neighborhood where they want to put a tower up, your property value is going to go down. So therefore, the middleman, the middle class citizens are affected the most in this country. And therefore, all the other people who are implementing this are profiting off of it, while the actual land owners or property owners are, their property values decreasing. So they're stealing money essentially from their pockets. And then
it's a big power and money grab, you know, and just like
we're the
lockdowns, you know, it's like now everybody's got to order from Amazon, you know, and it's like putting mom and pop businesses, and it's just a power and money grab going up to the top. And 5G set up that way. One thing we didn't talk about, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no, it's fine.
If this tower goes up in front, you know, in front of your house, right? People think, oh, well, I can just say no, or I can just call the city and be like, I don't like, what are you doing? Like, don't allow that tower.
Right.
Or like call Verizon and be like, I don't want it in my yard. Well, guess what? In Arizona, there was a law passed very sneakily, very sneaky in 2017, before anybody really knew what 5G was, that basically said that cities in Arizona can't say no to the towers. That if Verizon or T-Mobile or any of these guys come in and they request a permit to build a tower, the cities literally can't say no. They have to say yes. You can build it anywhere in public rights of way. So what's a public right of way? It's a street, it's a sidewalk, it's a median, like anything like that. So it's like you own your home and you own your lawn in front of your home, but you don't own the sidewalk. The city owns that. So if Verizon wants to build a tower on the sidewalk, they can just show up and do it. They literally just show up and do it. So it is a massive power and money grab. And now there are ways to fight this, which we can talk about. But you know, it's like you said, it's all a huge power grab. It's a power play. Like if it was really safe and effective and everybody wanted it, they wouldn't have to put laws in place that you can't say no to the tower, or if you're hurt by the vaccine, you can't sue the manufacturer, or these sort of like little I don't know what you want to call them, like crony laws that just sort of make it so they can get away with doing their stuff and you can't say no, ha 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 ha. And that's
right.
what we're dealing with.
So essentially, it's so funny. My friend Caitlin and I were talking about this morning, and she wanted me to ask this, and I think you have already answered this, and then we'll move on to what else you wanted to talk about before I wanted to tie the last piece of information about the middle class being affected and these big core people profiting off of it. Was actually, she was just like, now, if this is technology that is supposed to help us, then why would they roll all these phones out without having any of the towers in place? And she goes, and if it is such great technology, then why do we need multiple towers? And I think you've pretty much answered that. But I mean, it just goes to show you, like, that's exactly it. Like, the technology isn't really that good in my eyes to begin with. So why the hell are they pushing it? Because, well, it doesn't reach far distances. However, the microwaves, like you're saying, is the detrimental part of this whole entire 5G rollout. So now they're going to place multiple towers, more than we've ever seen, lower heights, so it's directly right at us. All right, makes sense. I just wanted to put that out there and reiterate to people of exactly what's going on here. So
sure. And I don't really like to use the word conspiracy. I mean, ultimately you can see that it's power grab and it's money grab. And it's just a way for big corporations to make money. And it's not just the middle class is affected, obviously the lower class and, the upper class. It's really only like the super elite, that are like, like really benefiting, right? So it's really affecting all of us.
All of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Thank you. So
So look, we can't say no to where the towers go. Okay. It sucks. We want to change things at the state level, write a new law that says this, yes, the cities can. But until then, we have a workaround. We have a way. We have a couple of solutions, and that's what I want to talk about. Because if we can go on here
Perfect.
and
We
say,
love solutions.
yeah,
Let's do it.
yeah, because we can go and say, oh, the corporations and the law and the government, they're all out to kill us and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I do it.
Took our girls, right?
You know, Dr. Ben, I do enough of that on my show as it is.
Yeah.
So I'm right. Like, what I like to do is give my viewers solutions. Like, yes, we can talk about it, but a lot of the time, all we hear is a bunch of air. Talk. So please, Dr. Ben, give us some solutions here. Please be more than happy.
So basically, our solution is this. It's okay to have cell towers. Okay, we want cell towers. We want to be able to make phone calls, send text messages, maybe send a funny meme over text here and there, right? But if we're beaming the entire internet at people through the sky, there's consequences, okay? Which we talked about. So my proposal in my group, which is called Arizona for Safe Technology, and if you go on azforsafetech.org, you can read about us, is to do the internet stuff through what's called fiber optic cable. Okay, fiber optic cable runs underground. It's very fast. It's faster than 5G. It actually moves at the speed of light. It's optic. It's actual light waves. So it's extremely fast. It's safe. Okay, because it goes in wires underground, so it's not giving off a bunch of radiation. And it's more secure. Like a wireless network you can hack into. Fiber optics, much more secure. So it's faster. It's more secure. It's safe. Okay, so we can send our data through fiber optics, the internet, streaming videos, apps, okay, all that stuff that we want to do. We can still use cell towers to make phone calls, okay, because the amount of power you need to make a 5-bar phone call is about 0.002 watts of effective radiating power. Very small for one person to make a 5-bar call, okay? The amount of power that these towers are giving off is 5,000 watts. So it's like 25 million times the amount of power needed to make a 5-bar call. They're trying to shoot through the air. It's way too much, way too much. So what you do is you have the towers just giving off enough to make phone calls, you know, maybe send a cat video here and there, but not a lot. And then the heavy lifting of all the data goes through wires underground, okay? So we have to get cities to build the wired infrastructure, which most of them already have. The fiber optic cable is already there. And a lot of times they just need to connect it from like the street to your home. Like 95% of the infrastructure is built. And then
wait, say that like 95% of the infrastructure is already built for this fiber optic rollout. If we wanted to go this route.
Yeah, most of it's already built.
Cool. To hear that, everybody? Why aren't we doing it? Seriously, what's going on here? Why are we using old archaic technology to roll out this microwave crap? Right.
Yeah, this is what happens when, you know, lobbyists and infiltrators do this kind of thing. So we can get faster, more secure internet. And what's great, what's fantastic, you know, it's funny. I was telling my mom about all this yesterday because we talk, but with very differing viewpoints. Okay, I grew up in Massachusetts, like diehard liberal. Okay, for a lot of my life. And I was telling her, you know, hey, I'm giving a talk about this 5G thing, because she was asking what I was up to. We don't really talk about COVID because it's just like, you know, she just has a completely different viewpoint. We just leave it off the table and we agree to disagree. She's like, you really think it's harmful? I'm like, yeah, Mom, I worked as an engineer for 10 years. Like, I know it's harmful. And she's like, why? And I was explaining, well, you know, these towers, they're every 500, 300 feet, they're 50 feet in front of your home, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, we would never have that here in our town. And I was like, why not? Well, because we have high-speed internet, we have fiber optics, and everybody just gets fiber optics, and we wouldn't need to beam a bunch of data through 5G towers. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm trying to do here. So it can be done. Concord, Massachusetts, Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's been done. So the cities can't say no to the towers, but what they can do, obviously, is build out the infrastructure, and then they can regulate it as a public utility. Like literally, my parents pay City of Concord for their internet. It's faster than the cable company, and it's cheaper. and it's a revenue source for the city or the town or whatever itself. So instead of, Verizon and T-Mobile, all these guys coming in and making a bunch of money putting up towers, the Prescott's and the Chandlers and the Tucsons and the Phoenixes can regulate the high-speed internet themselves, and it's faster, safer, and cheaper, and it's a revenue source for the cities. Instead of the cities losing revenue because everybody's property value tanks 20%, and then their tax revenue tanks 20%. No, you just make it a public utility. Okay, everybody gets faster, safer internet. And then for the towers, even though they can't say no to where they go, they can regulate how much power comes off of them. So instead of bombarding everybody with 5,000 watts of effective radiating power and basically shooting these 5G cannons everywhere, they just say, no, we're gonna have 5G squirt guns everywhere. And instead of 5,000 watts, you can shoot off 1 watt or 0.1 watts or whatever, enough to make calls, send a few cat videos, have a fun day and get on with your life. Or I'm just not gonna be bombarding with people with this much radiation. It's not safe. Shoot that through the ground. Okay, problem solved. Like Winfinity, right? Because now it's safer, it's more secure. You're not getting bombarded by all this radiation. The cities can make money instead of lose money, and people's health isn't compromised. And then we really stick into these telecom companies because guess what? They just build a bunch of towers that they can't really use. That they invested all this money in infrastructure that we're going to say, no, we're not going to let you shoot cannons at us, only squirt guns, right? So it's a pretty brilliant solution, but cities are scared to do it, right? Like no one wants to be the first to jump. Like we got conversation with the Chandler and Tucson right now. Here's the ordinance. You just say this much power coming off the towers, and we'll put a fuse in the tower. And if they go over the limit and the fuse breaks, well, then the tower breaks and they have to buy a new fuse, and we'll charge them 10 grand. And like we have a way to do it that works really well. But cities are afraid to make the leap. So we need people joining our movement to put pressure on the cities to be like, just write a wireless ordinance, just cap the power, build out the wired infrastructure, and boom, you're golden. Okay, and it's been done in other cities, Concord, Massachusetts, Chattanooga, Tennessee, or a few of them. So it's a really robust solution. So we don't have to just sit here and be like, corporations, Democrats, Republicans. Like we have an answer. We have a way to do it, but we need help and we need people to get involved. So it's AZ for Safe Tech, AZ, the number 4, safetech.org is our website. Join our email list, get involved, and we can do great things. So that is the solution to the 5G problem that doesn't need to be a problem.
I like that solution. My friend who lives in Sedona, his apartment complex uses fiber optics. So they deliver that and he gets it for free with his rent. And I go, and he's also the producer for the show as well. I go to his house to upload my videos and to edit. I'll tell you what, with the fiber optics, I can upload a YouTube video that's 30 minutes long in 3 minutes. In 3 minutes. Do you know how long it takes me just on regular Wi-Fi and this 5G crap that they're talking about? An hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, and I go over there and use this fiber optics. Within 3 minutes, my videos are uploaded, processed, and everything. So when it comes to fiber optics, Dr. Ben, you're absolutely right. The solution is what we do need. And it's cheaper. Is it cheaper to also produce, for not just cheaper for us to pay for, but is it also cheaper for us to produce? Are we going to get a better ROI when we implementing fiber optics as opposed to 5G towers?
Each city's got to crunch the numbers on that. Obviously it's an investment. Like I said, most of the infrastructure is already built. In some cases, like 95%, like they literally just have to take the cable from like the street to your home.
Okay.
But it could cost some money for cities that don't have as much of it. But if they look at the long term, as far as like how property values are going to be affected, how people's health is going to be affected, how they can get sued, it's still like a big financial win, even if it's not like they need to borrow some money to do it up front. It's still like just such a good investment when you look at the downsides of not doing it.
In your health, your body. It's investing in your body. That is the most important investment out there, folks, is your body. It's your temple. So and big pharma's not going to come up with a medicine to treat radiation sickness. They're just not. No. If they do, they're just going to profit off of you and keep you sick and keep you going. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, that's what they do with a lot of diseases that we get is there is a cure, but they keep you sick and they keep you, this medicine actually just keeps you going for a little bit so they can make money off of you. I've experienced that myself. Somebody who's been diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder myself, but it seems like these towns that need to get on board, and it seems like as what we're doing here with the Patriot Party, we realize we have to focus on our state and our local level first. The federal government, no way. So it sounds like in order to roll out any of our solutions that you're talking about, Dr. Ben, or what the Patriot Party wants to do too, it starts with these towns. And I'll tell you what, with the recall effort that's going on with Sedona right now, we have a wonderful person ready to be put in place once this recall effort is finished in Sedona for mayor, and Kurt Galbach, who will be coming onto my show a lot too. I'm working with him, one of his campaign managers. Dr. Ben, you've got to talk with him, because once we get him into office, his business models he has for the city, everything is right on par with what you and your organization wants to do. And he definitely wants Sedona. He knows Sedona is important for our entire state. We are ready in Sedona to start that example. So I'm definitely going to put you in contact with Kurt, regardless of the recall. If we can't, we know that we're going to get this recall effort underway. So it starts with the towns. I want the viewers out there to know, like, it starts with your town. Please pressure your local governments. The hell with the federal government. It's a de facto government. The system's collapsing. We need to focus on our state level, and that begins here in Arizona. So anybody out there, please pressure your local governments. That's where it starts. We want to solve all these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I want to share an example of how we did that. Okay. With our because so we've gotten really good traction in Chandler, because towers started going up literally in people's front yards. And, that's when they were like, okay, I need to do something. It's in my front yard. It's like literally in my front yard. And I can't, we got to do something. Right. And so we got some traction with that. We were going up in neighborhoods, and we got some people involved. And so we started meeting with the city council, and they were receptive to us. But, they got a lot on their plate. They got a lot going on. And if you, like you said, you don't put pressure on them, they just kind of forget about you, because they got a million other people complaining to them about a million other things. Right. So we had one guy in the city council who was like, hey, I believe you 100%, but like, until you convince the rest of the council, and it's, like, it can't be 3 or 4 phone calls. It's got to be 50 phone calls, 50 emails, right? And then they'll listen. So we started bombarding the city council with emails. Hey, meet with us about this 5G thing. Meet with us, talk to us. We have a solution, And so finally we got 2 more of the city council people to agree to meet with us. We said, okay, we're going to do a Zoom. They want to do a Zoom call where we kind of explain everything. And so we started getting people in Chandler like, hey, everybody's got to get on this Zoom call. We got to get numbers on there to let them know that we mean business. Okay. So we can put pressure on them, so they know that it's not just 3 or 4 hysterical people who are concerned about a tower. It's a lot of citizens. We got 86 people to show up on a Zoom call. Okay. They never have that many people. Like, if there's 20 people on a Zoom call, that's a big deal. Okay.
Right.
When we said, hey, we want a wireless ordinance to cap the power. Okay. So, 0.1 watts or whatever Chandler wanted. They went, well, okay. I mean, yeah, man. All right. We'll figure it out. Like, we'll talk to the attorney. And we're like, no, we want you to do it. And they wouldn't do it, because fact was, they were so scared that 86 people show up on the Zoom call that they didn't want to commit to anything. They were freaking out. They were shaking in their boots, because the next day they went and met with the one city council member who was already on our side. And they were like, Matt, 86 people showed up on the call. We freaked out. We didn't know what to do. And he's like, well, you got to do what they say. You got to write the ordinance. So anyway, we got a meeting with their city attorney, and we're going to have some people show up at that. And we're one step closer to getting the ordinance written, which would cap the power, which would essentially solve the problem. But how do we do it? With numbers and with leverage, and a lot of people being like, this is a problem, you can fix it, right? And not just like the rah, 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 right? Like, here's the solution that we talked about, right? And effort and putting, a lot of people are staying at home and they're just posting QAnon videos and memes and like, that's nice, changes people's mind, but like, you got to take nonviolent direct action, which is getting involved with your local government at the city and the state level, like you talked about. And it works. It works if you do it. But you got to get out of your house. You got to get off your computer and off your phone and do it. Rant over.
No, well, trust me, I rant on this all day long. What are the people doing? Get off the couch, get away from Facebook. If you think that sitting behind Facebook and putting out information and sharing and liking and all that, I get it. You're contributing, but you're not contributing enough. It's not doing anything. Just like I tell everybody in Sedona, yes, I believe in meditation. I believe in crystals. I believe in prayer. I believe in all that. But if you're not putting action behind your prayer, meditation, or your crystals, it doesn't work either.
I got to high five you through Zoom for that, man.
Yes, right. Please. I mean, as a light worker myself and an awoke spiritual being, Dr. Ben, it is so hard to convince a lot of people, especially in the Sedona area, that we're not going to leave our bodies in ascension. All right. Our crystals are not going to save us. And meditation doesn't work without action. Okay. Prayer does not work without action. Our crystals don't work without action. Just stop. No one's going to save us. You can't meditate it away. You can create a different reality, but if you're not putting action behind creating your different reality, then you're going to be just stuck still. So please, to all the spiritual people out there as well, and to the non-spiritual people out there as well that want to do stuff, get up off the couch, get off your crystals, meditate, pray, and then go outside and go help the country out, please.
And you're doing it today. You're in Prescott right now, and there's literally a rally at City Hall about this tower that's happening like in an hour, right?
Yeah, in an hour. And I literally, and I'm staying right across the street from City Hall, staring at a tower myself right now. I'm at, this beautiful historical hotel, in downtown Prescott. And I came down here. I was in Show Low yesterday talking with people in Show Low, and then I remembered, Dr. Ben, I had an interview with you today in the 5G rally down here in Prescott. So immediately I said, oh boy, I can't stay in Show Low tonight. I got to be down in Prescott. Came down in Prescott, bam, met those older people that I met with the mother who's 90 years old, got to spread the word about you and that I was doing an interview with you and they were interested in the 5G stuff and they're going to the rally today too. Get up off your couch, guys, and help your fellow brothers and sisters out. There's people out there who want to know, they're information hungry right now and they're solution hungry. They want solutions and they want information. But just doing it, I'm doing it online with you right now, Dr. Ben, but right afterwards, I'm going to upload this video and I'm going to go right down to the square and be outside with people. It's time to get high five again. Seriously, high five again.
And so I'll plug my website and my email again, the azforsafetech.org. If you go on there and join our email list, I'm sending out information, but I'm also sending ways you can take action and things you can do. Because like, if you don't know who your city council is, if you don't know who your state rep is, and if your state senators, you have two state reps and a state senator. If you don't have these people on speed dial and you aren't hitting them up about every, freedom unfriendly bill that comes along, whether it's the vaccine passports or the masks or anything like that, like that's you're leaving money on the table. That's a huge opportunity. Like, pester these people, get to know them. Okay. Get involved. There's ways to do it. And if you're not sure what you should be doing, or where you can make an impact, send myself a message, send you a message and ask, like, what can I do to get involved? Because guys, the internet posting's great, and doing the podcast obviously here is great for getting the word out, but yeah, boots on the ground. Totally 100% agree with you. I think we've belabored that point.
It's time to mobilize too. It really, really is. That's why I got rid of my rent in Sedona and I bought a brand new car, higher car payment, but I'd rather be on the road traveling and getting information out and meeting people too. So people are getting out. It's time to definitely mobilize, like do stuff, please. You know, if you're not doing anything else, you don't have a job and you have some savings, get out and about and help those who don't have the means to get out right now.
And hey, I run two businesses, and I do this. My time's at a premium. Everybody can do something. Even the stay-at-home moms can call their state reps. So you don't have to.
And there's a lot of moms out there. Dr. Heyman, I know you're listening to this because this is definitely right up your alley. She's a naturopathic doctor in Sedona. And she's been on my channel before, and she holds a group of concerned moms too. And so they are, Dr. Heyman, you're doing everything that you and the other mothers are doing. You guys are ready to get the signatures done in Sedona. They're ready. So thank you, Dr. Heyman, as well. There are people out there that are ready to mobilize. And I'll tell you what, Dr. Ben, the people who are mobilizing, getting up off the couch are the moms. Really, the moms.
It's so true. It's so
women
true.
with children, literally.
Yeah, no, they do the heavy lifting in this movement, man. They don't get enough credit. Especially with medical freedom. It's all the moms. It's seriously, yeah. The women just crushing it. Like, we got to give them a shout out for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to all the moms out there. I definitely would like to have you back on the show, Dr. Ben, because I know that, your other work included autoimmune disease, and I believe you healed yourself from that. And I have an autoimmune disorder. I'd like to go into that on the next show, but like, Dr. Ben, like, how did you, like, explain, before we end this episode, explain a little bit about your autoimmune disease work briefly. I would like to talk more about it on another time for sure. And how did you from there get involved in this 5G push? So it's a loaded question.
Yeah, and I'll try to give you, it's a long story, and I'll try to give you the short answer. But as I said, I was working as an engineer in the microchip industry for like 10 years out of college, right? I had a mechanical engineering degree undergrad. That's what I got into doing. I really didn't know anything about health. I was really just, a follower of the medical model, as it were. And about late 20s, started coming down with health problems pretty much out of nowhere. I'd been, healthy and fit my whole life. I'd been thin and lean and fairly athletic and never really had any major health problems. And late 20s started developing really bad chronic fatigue, really bad eczema, skin issues in my hands, brain fog, chronic muscle pain throughout my body. I always felt like my muscles were sore, and really, really bad digestive issues, like really awful, interfering with my life digestive issues. And so I started to go to doctors, just sort of expecting like, oh, well, you'll just diagnose me with disease A, and then you'll give me pill B, and then I'll get well. And what I quickly found out was that they couldn't really figure out what was wrong. They'd run a bunch of tests and go, oh, all your numbers look normal, or we can't tell what's wrong with you. So let's try this drug. And I really just got the runaround. Okay. I just sort of got like passed from doctor to doctor, specialist to specialist, and no one really had any answers for me or really even seemed to care. Welcome to American healthcare system, right? And so eventually I was just like, I got to figure this out on my own. All right. And so I just started massively self-educating, massively self-experimenting. And I came across a lot of stuff that said, if you change your diet and your lifestyle, a lot of these problems that you have go away. And I thought, I don't want to do that. Like that just sounds like too much work. But eventually it got to the point where nothing else was working. And I was really bad. I mean, my health got really bad to where, I talk about all this and it sounds annoying, but like my chronic fatigue and brain fog were the point where I could barely work, do my job. And my boss was like, look, if you don't shape up, like come your next performance review, you're gonna be out of a job. You have to look somewhere else. Like, what's going on? What's wrong with you? Like, why have you tanked? And I didn't have a good answer, right? I didn't want to go out and be social. I didn't want to I was in a relationship at the time. My partner was just like sick of me being sick and really didn't believe me. And so my life was really like collapsing, and I had to find a way to do something. And so kind of as a Hail Mary, I was like, okay, I'll just start changing my diet. I'll start eating healthier, eat more fruits and vegetables. And And that was sort of like dipping my toe in the pool. And then I found out the more I did, the better I felt. And I just got really just engrossed in it. And pretty soon I was doing a, entirely plant-based, mostly raw diet of just like a lot of fruit and a lot of leafy greens, juices, smoothies, salads. And like my whole, everything shifted. Like within a month of like doing that really solid, all those symptoms I talked about were pretty much gone. And so it really, I saw my body like transform before my eyes. And health became my hobby. I got real excited about it. And basically I got into the 5G thing because I got into the medical freedom thing, because I had been down that road with pharma, and I'd kind of like, kind of seen that it was a dead end. Right. And then I was researching more and more of these autoimmune diseases kept coming from, or like where they actually came from. Vaccines kept popping up as an answer. And I was like, that can't be true. Like, that's crazy in the beginning, but I just kept finding it in my research, and it was there plain as day. And so I got involved in the medical freedom aspect on the vaccines, and then just through that kind of stumbled into the 5G stuff. And I was like, whoa, I remember this technology from when I worked there. Like, wow, this is bad news. And then it just sort of became like no one else was tackling this issue, and I saw it really pressing, because I have both the healthcare and the health side of things, that knowledge, and also the engineering side. So I really comprehend like kind of the implications of both. And there's only a few other people that are really involved that have that. And I was like, this is kind of falling in my lap, and no one else is going to do it. I got to do it. I got to step up. So that's how I got involved in 5G. But I'm still very much involved in helping people with chronic disease, autoimmune disease, multiple sclerosis, thyroid issues, rheumatoid arthritis, all that stuff. Reverse it and get off of medications. So try to give you a succinct answer, but yeah, we will definitely jam on that next time. Have a ton to talk about there. Very passionate about that subject.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely would like to talk about that next time for sure. For some of my viewers out there, most of you guys already know, but I have an autoimmune disorder to HIV, but I haven't taken my meds in 2 years, and just from dieting and everything like that, they're, like you said, the vaccines, I'm just going to tease right now, but the vaccines, definitely there's something in these vaccines that activate certain viruses that are already in our bodies that are already dormant. And if you guys don't know the work that Dr. Judy Mikovich has done, look up Dr. Judy Mikovich as well, because she talks about anybody out there who has HIV. She talks about the vaccine portion of what it does to the HIV virus. So definitely, I would love Dr. Ben to talk about not just HIV, but the autoimmune disease stuff and how we can heal our bodies as individuals. We don't need, doctors are great. We need doctors for sure, but having them make our life choices, just what they've been doing in Western medicine is not working anymore. It's just not, and people are fed up with it. So it's definitely time to talk about some of the diseases that we have that are actually curable and reversible. And it really begins with just your honesty, your mentality, your mind over matter, in the way we eat, really. That's the way I see it. I've 2 years without the meds. I don't wear a mask throughout this whole entire thing. I haven't been sick once. I take that back. In December, I got something for about 2 days, but I was still able to go to work. I lost my smell. I lost my taste, but I was still able to go to work. And what I did was I did these little hot shots from the local juicery in Sedona with oregano oil. I did that for 2 days and drank a bunch of carrot and orange juice and green juice for 2 days. I was over it. Gone, completely gone.
The body, like I said, heal. You just got to give it the conditions to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. Yeah, definitely love to do another podcast, talk all about health. And we can talk about the vaccine thing too, when it relates to, Coronavirus and all the other ones out there.
Yeah. What are your thoughts before we end this? What are your thoughts on the fourth variant coming out? The fourth variant. I mean, how many
they got to have a new problem. Have a new problem to solve. What I did see, which was very scary, very crazy, was that in Israel they looked at people who got the South Africa variant, and they found that the South Africa variant occurred 8 times more in the vaccinated population than in the unvaccinated. So it's like we're trying to chase down this monster with this vaccine, and it keeps mutating. It's like we're never gonna out-science nature. Like we're just not. So harness nature and leverage it to your advantage to create health, and then this kind of things won't even be a problem. But we think we can, like, medicate and scientifically innovate our ways out of problems that we essentially created in the first place with our diets and our lifestyles.
Yeah, exactly. So stop being victims, stop blaming other people, blamer. Like,
Yeah,
seriously, we always,
Valley, like you said, it comes to that. It's this idea that like some outside force is going to save us, and it's like, no, you have the power within you already. Just unlock it. So we'll talk about that for sure.
Oh yeah, no, the potential when you realize that you have the power within you, and whatever you want to call it, source, God, creator, one, love, it's within all of us. Okay, no one's above us. God's not above us. Within us, we have the ability, everybody, and that's the whole point of this episode here, is that we have the ability. We, the people, have the power. That's why stand up, pressure your local government, please. Want to make some change? Go after your local government.
Yep.
So it's easy.
They work for you, pay your tax dollars, get involved.
Yeah, I found it funny when Rusty Bowers, I'll end on this note, when Rusty Bowers this weekend, did you see the full episode yet?
I haven't watched it. I only watched a little trailer.
Yeah. Well, Rusty was like, get off my property. And then this mother that I was with, she goes, that's our property. We pay your salary. Our tax dollars goes to you. Therefore, you pay the mortgage through our tax dollars. Therefore, it's our property. Literally, that's what we told them. Like, really, Rusty? You want to push this whole agenda on underage, pedophilia and underage sex offenders having, reducing their penalties, and then you want to tell us to get off your property when I have a concerned mother with me and she pays your mortgage and the tax dollars? Really? We had the state house of Arizona saying this to us. We pay him, therefore that property belongs to the people of Arizona, not him.
Yep.
Just really want to put that out there. So, all right, Dr. Ben, this has been fun. Thank you so much for contributing to the show. I will put all of your information in the description box below. Can you say that one more time, where they can find you, how they can get involved and everything like that? Would you mind if I put your email address in the description box if people want to email you, or?
Sure. So yeah, we can put my contact info.
Okay.
If you want to find me on social media, it's just my name, Dr. Benjamin Benulis. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook for the most part. Search for me by my name. I should show up unless I'm somehow shadow banned. And then to get involved with the 5G thing or just stay informed, it's az4safetech.org. Az, the number 4, SAFETECH.org.
Awesome. There you have it, guys. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in today. Thank you again, Dr. Ben. This has been Matthew Paul Tucciarone and Dr. Benjamin with the Patriot Report. Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe, share, and like, and hit those notification bells. Thank you so much, everybody. God bless. Have an awesome, awesome week ahead. All right. So I just end this, and do I hit end, Dr.
Yeah, hit the stop button.
Stop. Okay. Hit the stop button. Cool.